What's up, Trojans? So this is the final game of the Giants' regular season. Might as well call it now because we're on a tanking season now. It's a different season for the New York Giants where we're just trying to finish it out and see what draft pick we get. This is insanity at this point. This team should not be this bad. I mean, I've gone over it several times. You have to take 3 losses off from the Giants because Dart's our quarterback. So really, this team, well, now it's 2-8, but so really, this team is like 2-5. Then, I mean, the Giants had no business losing today. We had no business losing against the Saints. We had no business losing against the Broncos. You flip 3 of those games, this is a completely different team, even with the 3 losses before. It's absolute insanity how this season has been robbed from us as Giants fans. And, you know, aside from the refereeing in the Eagles game, the only person to blame is the Giants, namely Brian Daboll as a member of the Giants. Shane Bowen is a huge contributor in that. He should have been fired after the Broncos game. I hope he will be fired after this game because this is inexcusable, unacceptable. I don't know how any organization puts up with the coaching that we've seen from this staff this season. Daboll needs to go. Bowman needs to go. Kafka even needs to go. This is ridiculous. The entire way down, everyone needs to be fired from that point down. The only person in this entire organization that I think is still worth defending is Joe Schoen. Even though everyone says it was Daboll, he drafted Dart. He pulled the trigger on it. He had the final say. He could have vetoed that. He traded up and got Dart. He got Carter, who should have had like 2-3 sacks today or something. I even said this in my last video, I haven't been too high on Carter this season, but seeing today's game, 2 sacks were stolen from him from random defensive penalties in the secondary. He can't control what Banks or Flott do on plays. It's just, he's getting these decent guys, and the team just isn't working together, and that comes down to coaching. That's what this is. So, at this point in the season, the only thing worth looking at as a Giants fan, again, it feels like the 9th time in the last 10 years, this is already the case again, it's the draft. It's next season. Every single year, year in and year out. And this is absolute insanity. Something has to change. And I do think Shane has earned himself a chance to work with a better head coach. Daboll was fine in 2022. The team, went to the playoffs. We won the playoff game. That was huge. But since then, it's been 3 years in a row of Daboll fucking this team up. 2 of it, it was easy to pin on Daniel Jones. But he's the one that got rid of Wink Martindale. He's the one that's been the head of this team the entire time. And Shane has done a solid job, in my opinion, of getting guys that can help. Wan'Dale, given the opportunity, has proven himself to be a competent wide receiver. I know he had the drop on the last drive. But even Darius Slayton and Theo Johnson showed up today. They're making these insane catches and not dropping passes. Joe Schoen kind of knows what he's doing in getting guys on this team, and it's the coaching staff that is letting everyone down. Daboll up in a game against the Bears where the defense is actually playing well. It's let's run Jackson Dart over and over and over and over again until he gets injured, and then we'll have Russ come in and do nothing. Not that Russ is the worst quarterback in the world, but he goes out there and they're we'll just kind of try to keep running the ball. And we could go back and forth on this all day, but realistically, the Giants left 4 points on the scoreboard because it was 4th and 1 from the nothing yard line, and we kicked the field goal, which I was oh yeah, at the time, it's I can't kill Daboll for that, no big deal. But then there was a penalty on the defense on the field goal that would have gotten the Giants even closer. And at that point, just QB sneak it in. Do something. It's right there to be had. Tush push it. I mean, my gosh, the play's not banned yet. We're all going back and forth on this, the tush push should be banned, whatever. Use it to your advantage while you have it. Or just do a normal QB sneak, no big deal. It only requires an inch. Just get it. And if we got that, then the last drive would have been the Bears having to get a touchdown, which of course they did anyway, but this team, they just don't know how to win. We see this week in and week out. The Giants cannot close out games. The Broncos, the Saints, now the Bears. These are 3 games the Giants should have won. Easily should have won, but didn't. 2 of the 3 against fairly good teams. The Broncos are making the playoffs. The Bears, especially after this win, should be making the playoffs. And, then there's the Saints. But that's just a fumble fully on the Giants side. You can't have 5 turnovers in a row. And Dart's done a much better job of cleaning that up. So let's actually start analyzing the game now. The offense started off fairly slow, not doing too much. I think the first 2 drives ended up in nothing. One of them was a turnover on downs on the 4th down. That was in response to a Bears turnover on downs, due to a failed 4th down play. Then the offense came out, was able to get a touchdown in response. I believe in response to a Bears touchdown, tied the game up. Then the Giants had a horrible missed tackle on DeAndre Swift on a 4th down that should have ended the drive right there and gotten the Giants a touchdown theoretically, because that would have given them the ball back at the 50. Instead, the 2 defenders missed the tackle, Flott and Flanagan Fowles, who Flanagan Fowles obviously isn't good, but he's elevated up from the practice squad, if not off the street. And Flott should have been better. So that is really on Flott there. And Flott was not that good this game. You think getting one of your starting corners back would improve the team? And it probably did. But I don't know why they didn't then do Corey Black over Deonte Banks. I get doing Corey Black and Deonte Banks when there's no one else available. But with Flott back, I think Corey Black was playing better than Deonte Banks, personally. Just more effort. Deonte Banks didn't do anything in this game except for 1 decent return. And honestly, do we believe if Gunner had that instead, he couldn't have run through those wide open gaps and gotten the same return? Come on now. Gunner was... If the Giants had 53 Gunner Olewskis on this team, we're winning Super Bowls. He is such a heads-up player with great situational awareness. It's insane. He does this little acting job on a punt return to go back out the end zone. He saves 3 points for the Giants. Jackson Dart throws the cleanest interception of his entire career, and Gunner has the instant awareness to bat this ball out of the defender's arms. Absolute great performance there. And this offense... That's how they got that 3 points. So it was only 10-7 going into the first half. Giants were up. Come out the second half, immediately scored a touchdown. Jackson Dart looks like a beast. And Jackson Dart is a franchise-level quarterback. It's a shame that he is burdened with this horrible coaching staff. And I will say, to a degree, the surrounding cast that Joe Schoen has. But Joe Schoen drafted Cam Skattebo. He drafted Malik Nabers. And those are 2 huge injuries the Giants offense is dealing with. He re-signed Andrew Thomas, which, yes, obvious. But those are key guys on this offense that are really helping the team perform. And we just got to get 1 more offensive lineman, I think, for Jackson Dart. And this offense can be amazing. Darius Slayton and Theo Johnson had great games today. 2 guys that I've been very hard on this season. They didn't drop a ton of passes, and both of them made insane catches. Specifically, Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton, wow. Had some insane catches in this game. I'm thinking of the 2 back-to-back insane catches. The one-hander and the deep pass. Absolutely amazing. That should have been a touchdown just on the Darius Slayton play there. Jackson Dart threw that ball a little bit off, but no big deal. He is a rookie. He's learning, and he makes great decisions overall. He definitely, can improve on a play-to-play basis. You can nitpick this performance for sure, but Jackson Dart, if he stayed out there, I think could have won this game for the Giants. But late in the game, the reason the Giants kept getting their last few points was because they just kept running Jackson Dart. And randomly, They evaluated him for a concussion, diagnosed him with one, and sent him out of the field. And so Russell Wilson comes in. And this was out of nowhere watching the game. I don't really have the sound on too loud. Maybe they announced it or something. Apparently also Russell Wilson went into the tent for a moment. And this team really needs to improve their injury problems. The trainer probably needs to be fired too, because this is absolute insanity how many injuries this team has. And Russell Wilson comes in. The first drive, it's a run-heavy drive, and the Giants go right down to the 1-yard line, and this is where I said before, Dable just needs to try something on that fourth down. The field goal was not worth it. The field goal did not matter, realistically, at the end of the day. The Giants should have gone for it on that play, gotten up to the 24-point lead, or 24 points with the lead, the multi-score lead, especially at that point, thinking, okay, Shane Bowen sucks as a defensive coordinator. He is going to blow this. And that's exactly what happened. The second the Giants were up 20-10 in this game, they just blew it right after. Absolutely ridiculous. You cannot be giving up 2-score leads with less than 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The defense just gave up a 91-yard drive immediately. Absolutely immediately. Like, there was no effort whatsoever on that defense. They just gave it up. And, again, this is not really on the defensive line that much. It's Shane Bowen. It's the defensive coordinator. Why is Abdul Carter ever in coverage? Why is Brian Burns ever in coverage? These are two guys that need to always be rushing the passer. Tibbs, Carter, Burns. Those are three guys that this season have been very consistently getting to the passer one way or another. Carter has been more pressures than sacks, but he's been robbed of sacks this season, especially in this game. Thibodeau is very good at least getting pressure. In this game, there were multiple times where he could have brought down Caleb Williams, but wasn't quite able to. Kind of the same thing with Brian Burns as well, but both of those guys were getting there and making an impact on this game. Absolutely ridiculous and inexcusable on Shane Bowen's behalf to give this game up. Just putting guys in the worst possible position to succeed week in and week out. I don't know why he wasn't fired on the plane ride home from the Broncos game. I don't know how he still has a job in this organization. The entire coaching staff, realistically, needs to be fired at this point. And it would start with Bowen, then Dable, and then we'll go from there. With that being said, it's worth looking at options for the Giants in the upcoming season. And I haven't looked at a draft board that hard at all, but two needs right now off the top of my head would be like wide receiver and offensive line. I think it would be really good for Jackson Dart to get a wide receiver. I don't know, especially if the Giants have like a top 5 pick, I don't think it would be worth it to go with another wide receiver in that position because Malik Neighbors is a number 1 wide receiver and Wan'Dale is a great slot wide receiver. So I think the second round is a better place to look for a second wide receiver. So I would favor an offensive lineman. I know I said in my last video the Giants should never be allowed to draft a corner again, but Sauce Gardner just got traded for like 2 first-round picks. So he must have been an amazing corner. That didn't come up stat-wise to me, but yeah, I mean, he's a good corner. So I guess if it's obvious enough and high in the draft like that, the Giants might be able to get away with drafting a first-round corner if it's their number 1 guy. That something on the defense would be a need for the Giants early in the draft, offensive lineman or, a impact defensive player in the secondary, like a coverage linebacker, a safety, or a corner. One of those 3 positions, or an offensive lineman, I think would help the Giants out a lot going next season. And even if, this firing goes all the way up to Joe Schoen, I hope the new general manager is smart enough to keep a lot of guys on this team. A guy like Kayvon Thibodeau might not be a guy that general manager drafted, so he might be willing to just go, I want to get rid of that guy. I hope he won it because I think Kayvon Thibodeau is a beast and needs to stay with this organization his entire career. And I hope that doesn't sound like a punishment, because at this point I could see someone taking it that way. I think Kayvon Thibodeau in his later years, if he's able to stay with this team, could experience the turnaround that a team like the Lions had, or several other teams in the NFL have had in recent history. This is just inexcusable, though. Being up 20-10 with 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, you have to win these games. It's the same thing with the Broncos. Being up exactly where they were at in that Broncos game, you have to win those games. It's inexcusable that week in and week out, the Giants are not able to put together a complete victory over other NFL teams, even when it's there for them to have. So people need to be fired. Bowen, Dable, and go from there. Whoever else you think needs to be fired needs to be fired. I would defend Shane personally, because I think Thibodeau was a good draft pick. I know he also drafted Banks, and that was bad. But Deonte Banks was drafted for Wink Martindale's scheme. And Banks was not a completely horrible corner in his first year. It was only after Wink Martindale left that Deonte Banks got outplayed by Cordell Flott. Adebo has the injury, yes, but is not the worst corner in the NFL. He was a fine corner when he was in. Newman and Holland are not great safeties, but they're not horrible safeties either. And I think overall, Joe Schoen has put together a decent team. You can criticize Okereke as well, but he's not paid that much. It's not like a Nate Solder type deal where we're giving this guy all this money. It's like $10 million a year. That's like normal starting linebacker salary at this point. So Joe Schoen has done a decent job of putting together a good roster, and I think he can continue to do that. Now, looking at head coach candidates, in my opinion, one of my favorites that exists that I've seen is Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders right now. They have a good offense, especially around Jaden Daniels, so he's good at developing young quarterbacks, and I think he could come to the Giants and keep this offense humming, help Jackson Dart, and make this offense elite. Then we need a top-tier defensive coordinator. Antonio Pierce is a name that comes to mind. The former Giants linebacker. And we bring Antonio Pierce in like every other day before he got like coaching jobs with other teams. We had him in like every other day, it felt like, to do like off-season programs with the Giants. At what point does he just become a coach here? It should be next season. I'd interview him for head coach as well. Another guy, Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He could come in and be a competent head coach. I would prefer, personally, an offensive-minded head coach to really help develop Jackson Dart. But you could also argue that that would be a detriment, because if you have an offensive-minded head coach and then he just hires some random OC, that it wouldn't be the most beneficial to Jackson Dart's development. So I could see the scenario where a more defensive-minded head coach becomes the head coach, and a great offensive coordinator is brought in, and a great quarterbacks coach is brought in to help out Jackson Dart, because Jackson Dart needs some help. Dable's not it for Dart, and it's just plainly obvious after this game. I think Dart had an amazing game. Dart is an amazing quarterback with great instincts. This organization just needs to do more to help him, not put him in these situations where he's getting concussions. Like, he's been evaluated for a concussion 3 times now in all of, 6 games? Absolutely insane. Absolute insanity. This is absolutely insane. And this is the one where he gets taken out for it, and it cost the Giants the game. And this falls on the coaching staff the entire way through. I don't know how Shane Bowen is still in the Giants locker room. He needs to be gone after the Broncos game. And after this game, Brian Dable needs to be fired. Giants need a clean house. I know the owner is going to be there like, oh, we can't do it mid-season. This isn't right. We need to have some decorum. But it's not as bad as McAdoo and Reese, who were literally tanking this Giants franchise and had to be fired mid-season. It isn't that bad, but Dable needs to be fired right now because he is just that incompetent. It's not malice from him. It's just incompetence. He's not capable of leading this team, and it shows. and we need to do something about it as a Giants organization. He needs to be fired. Kafka can become the head coach. Bowen needs to be gone as well. So that's just what it's going to have to be. And who knows, maybe Kafka becoming the head coach lights a spark under this team, and we do something with it. And as I said before, I think a guy like Spagnuolo or Cliff Kingsbury needs to be brought in as head coach interviews. Antonio Pierce as well. And maybe a few other fun picks need to be brought in for interviews. But I don't want to see the Giants do anything stupid with a head coach pick. I want to see a nice, smart, intelligent pick. I think Dable was a solid pick for a head coach at the time, but it just hasn't worked out in the last 4 years. He's just not the guy. So another pick similar to that. Nothing too crazy. I don't want a Joe Judge pick. I don't want to just promote Kafka to head coach permanently. Like they did with McAdoo after firing Coughlin. Because if you're going to just do that, you should have just kept Tom Coughlin. The Giants need to make a smart pick at head coach. Hopefully they do. This is ridiculous. This team should not be this bad this season because Dart is such a good quarterback. This is a franchise quarterback. This is an elite quarterback, actually, and none of this is on him. Absolutely none of this is on him. You can argue the Broncos game is on him, but that would be it. I mean, realistically as well, you have a defense that can cover for you. I mean, Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl in 2015. Like, it's not just the quarterback. It's the team around him. And Jackson Dart needs a better team around him, plain and simple. And I don't think it's Joe Schoen. I think Joe Schoen has put a lot of guys in this organization with a lot of talent. Burns, Thibodeau, Carter. They might seem like easy grabs in hindsight, but yeah, those are 3 great guys that are on this team, and the Giants need to continue to build around them. But see you guys the next one. Inexcusable. Hopefully there's better days in the future for the Giants. Just doesn't look like it right now.